Good morning. My name is Ralf Friedrichs. I'm an addiction recovery coach, life coach, an author, minister, and the host of this show, the Take Your Life Back Today radio show. You can see a video version of this if you go to YouTube under channel Take Your Life Back Today show. You could just Google my name, Ralf Friedrichs. So let me ask you something. What is God's role in people's sobriety or in my sobriety? As soon as we get sober and begin on our road to recovery, we begin to hear that it is God who is keeping us sober, and that there is no more important relationship than for you to have than it is to have it with Christ. While sobriety and growth go one on one together. However, we are also told that we shouldn't sit around waiting for a miracle. We are told there is footwork to be done, and we soon learn that this means going to, for some of you, going to meetings, working the steps, seeking sponsors, reaching out to other addicts, and giving ourselves through our service to others. So what is God's role in my sobriety and in my recovery? So if we are doing all this work and we are depending upon 12 steps, which I don't, and our fellowship, what role does God play in our recovery, and where does he come into the equation? Well, he plays a 100% role in mine. But how do we simultaneously work hard at recovery while also completely entrusting our sobriety to him? It seems like something of a contradiction, doesn't it? As humans, we tend to assume that everything is black and white, either or. In reality, relationships don't really work that way, especially a relationship with God. Roles are not clearly defined. We must work for our sobriety also, while also being open to God. They go hand in hand. If we sit around trusting God all day but doing nothing for our own sobriety and recovery, many of us will soon find ourselves reaching for the bottle again. It isn't that God doesn't have the power to work miracles or that he can't help us without our contribution, but that he is leading us on a path of growth. We can't be led along the path if we won't walk on that path. Others will work the steps with all enthusiasm and energy, giving 110% and hoping it is enough. They will work at it like there is no divine power in the equation. They may seek to control the process, believing that in the end, the only person you can ever really depend on is yourself. They give lip service to God, but there is little show of faith because they are trusting in themselves. This can lead to pride, burnout, and relapse. It becomes too big of a burden to carry for most of those folks. There is, however, another way of looking at the relationship, and it begins with humility. When we acknowledge that we are dying in our addiction and nothing outside divine intervention could have saved us, we begin to recognize the power and grace of God. The fact that we aren't drinking today is because he has set our feet on this new path, and we are learning to walk that path. Yes, we are here, we are showing up, and we are doing the work, but in our drinking days, we could have even phantomed such a thing. The fact that we are getting out of bed in the morning, working our program, and going to bed sober is grace in itself. There was a time when we wouldn't have even wanted that. Can you relate to any of that? So God's power and ongoing help is very important in our lives. For some people, the temptation to use again will soon disappear. This is a grace, but that doesn't mean God doesn't continue to have a role in keeping you sober. Yes, you are working whatever program that you are working and growing in recovery, but this isn't apart from God. He is the power behind the work that we do. He helps us in our acts of service, and many times helps us and shields us from temptation. When we are tempted, he promises to provide a way out so that we don't stumble. We will not always feel God's active presence. It may seem like we are walking an uphill road in recovery and there is no one helping us. No one pushing us from behind up that hill. Be reminded, God has us on this journey for our growth, and no one grows or develops in a comfortable, unchallenging circumstances. Hence my book, Struggles Became My Strength. If you experience adversity, this is not God punishing you, challenging your sobriety, or leaving you to fend for yourself. He has given you an opportunity to rely more heavily upon His power, His grace, and to test your faith. Embrace the opportunity. In the end, humility is the key to understanding God's role in our lives and our sobriety. We know at the core of our being that we are nothing without His love, without His grace, and without His power. And when we remember how He saved us from our own destruction, we see how active He is in our sobriety. We know that we are working and following the steps laid out for us, whatever steps they might be. But we also know that the very desire, motivation, and energy to stay sober and to work our program of recovery comes from Him, whatever program that might be, not necessarily AA. We see that He is everything, and without Him, we have no hope. We know it is by His grace that we are sober just for today, but if we keep doing what we're doing and thinking as we're thinking, we can totally trust that He will continue to help us for many, many days, months, and years ahead. Seek and trust God starting today. He will always be there for you, always. Even when you don't feel like it, He's right there. Right now, turn to Him. Give me a call at 844-405-HELP, because together, you and I, we can help each other take our lives back. Be good to yourselves and always be good to each other. Remember, a simple smile to anyone can change their day and change their life and make a difference in your life. Whatever program you're utilizing, 12-step, or in my case, it's my self-owned program, stick to it and stick with God, because without God, no matter what program you're in,